Mr. Abe was gonna be just a little late. He got a excuse. He will be here. He had another meeting. He didn't think he'd be here. So. We'll call the Metropolis City Council order Monday, December the 11th, 2017. Call the roll, please.
Canada.
Here.
Excuse me, Hall.
Here.
Lewis.
Here.
McGuire.
Here.
Neal.
Here.
Short.
Here.
And Taylor.
Here.
Thank you.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we come tonight thanking you for the blessings that you have given each and every one here. I thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for this council. We pray, dear Heavenly Father, that each decision that we make here will be for the betterment of the community. We were the ones in our community, dear Heavenly Father, that are ill. Not only be with the sick, dear Heavenly Father, but be with the caregivers. Be with our armed service personnel, not only on foreign ground, but here in the United States, guide and direct their lives, bring them safely home to their families. Be with our nation, dear Heavenly Father, that our leaders there will make the decisions, dear Heavenly Father, for the whole of the country. We ask in thy precious name. Amen. Motion to approve the 11/27/17 meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Mr. Neal, second by Mr. Hall. Call the roll, please.
Canada.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Citizens request. We do have a guest here tonight. Tricia, would you like to introduce Keith?
Yes. This is Keith Slusser from Vic, Egamar and Williamson, our auditing firm, and he's here tonight to present our audit report. Hopefully you guys, do you have yours?
They do. They said they've been reading it.
Okay, I'll run downstairs and get you one. Do you
Mine's
have?
in the car, I just didn't bring it up, I grabbed my bag.
Who else
Here,
doesn't
you use
have
this
one?
one. You
I'll
have
study
this
on
right
it.
here.
I think there's probably one in Rick's desk.
Maybe one might have.
We got
I
plenty,
use-
can
I
look
use
over
mine.
either one.
Yeah, Chuck and I can share it right there.
But Chad don't
Yeah.
have one.
Yes, we can have that.
It's only an hour presentation, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Well, if we keep cutting it down, people that don't have it, can shorten that up a bit.
Now, once everyone has it, then I
Can
can,
see it
Slept with
there.
my gun.
You good? You
I
guys
can
okay?
add more time on it. Hi, everyone. Keith Slusser, Fick, Eggemeyer, and Williamson, CPA. I will hit the high points of the audit. If you have any questions while I'm moving along, or if I move too fast, just wave your hands violently, and I will slow down and keep the excitement rolling for you. So, page 1 and 2 of the audit is our independent auditor's report. Here we found no departures from generally accepted accounting principles. The audit was done in accordance with GAAP, so you want an unqualified opinion here, that means there was no departures. So unqualified opinion is a clean opinion in the audit world, and that's what you got here. Page 3 is management's discussion and analysis. This is kind of management's forum to put numbers into words, explain things that are going to happen in this year or in future years. We're kind of limited in what we can put in an audit. 1 + 1 is always going to be 2, but there might be an explanation as why 1 + 1 = 2 in the city's situation. This allows management to put those into words. Here's why we were under budget, or here's why we were over budget this year. This is why revenues were down or revenues were up. And so it allows the municipalities to put a little bit more information out there to their readers. Page 4, which is technically not page 4 since there's a lot of 3s, but this is the statement of net position. Here we combine all your funds together. We have your governmental activities, which are your primary funds, then you have your business type activities, and then lastly the component unit, which is the library. Overall, our cash, CD, and investments was $12,289,000, which is up about $714,000 from last year. So in the grand scheme of things, people are always wondering where we at on cash year to year. your cash was up $714,000 instead of down. So it's been up the last 2 years. Some of that could do with timing upon receiving grant funds or just the timing of revenues coming in. The next page is page 5, which is a for-profit style of income statement. On here, we record depreciation. When we purchase assets, we pull them off the income statement and don't record them in here. So that's why it's a little bit different than what you might see on a monthly basis. But capital assets are added to the balance sheet and not expensed off here. Page 6 is a governmental funds balance sheet. Where this is different from page 4 is we don't have long-term assets and liabilities. Bonds payable is not on here. Capital assets aren't on here. And other long-term compensated absences, pension liability, none of those are recorded on these. And we only show the major funds, the general fund and the street fund. It's a lovely calculation that multiplies the 10%. It wants to be greater than 10% of a certain number. So that's why only 2 funds show up here and everything else is a other governmental fund. Page 10 through 12 are our proprietary funds. These are going to be our for-profit funds, our light fund, sewer fund, water fund, airport, and garbage fund. So here's their combined financial statements if you wanted to see how our particular fund in there did. And then the cash flow statement on page 12 to show how their cash, which funds had increases in cashes and which ones had decreases in cashes, and that's on page 12. Page 15 is the start of your notes. Earth-shattering, riveting stuff here. I mean, this will rival bestsellers out there with how exciting this stuff is. So,
I couldn't hardly hold my stuff.
I know. I'm saying if you have trouble sleeping tonight, just start on page 1. If you're still awake, then you might have problems. So, it's going to explain the background of what do we consider a receivable. Well, here's explains what's a receivable. What's a prepaid? If you wanted to know the finer nuts and bolts of what makes up our balance sheet and revenue items, just kind of explains the accounting principles that we use. The language is pretty standard from year to year. You probably could take an audit from last year and compare it, and you're going to see no differences. Maybe Sean changed where he wanted a comma this year. Might be the only change you're going to find. The first page I want to point you to is page 27 through 29. This is our capital asset activity during the year. So the first one is going to be our governmental fund. The next one is our business type activities, and lastly, the library fund. So on page 28, you can see that we had infrastructure increases of $6.2 million. That's obviously we're doing a little bit of a sewer separation project, and this is where that asset is going in here, and so forth. If we add improvements or machinery and equipment, and then if anything was removed from the books, that's going to be your decrease column. Page 31 is our future debt requirements. So here's the amortization schedules for the debt that we have out there. The first one is the notes payable on the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency bond note. That's $2.8 million as of the end of the year. Obviously, more money was borrowed subsequent to year end, but all we can do is report as to what happened at June 30th. So if you've seen this and see $2.8 million and you say, I thought we borrowed more, well, you did. It's just not on here at June 30th. You'll have the general obligation bonds paid off in 2025, and then that'll be obviously an increase of over $1 million that you guys can spend on what you need here in the future. So you just hold tight for another 8 years and you'll be in good shape. Then we have a capital lease for a new bucket truck, and you can see that the payments on that through 2021. So we only have about $13,000 of interest to do that loan. The next page I go to is page 48. This is our funding schedule for the retirement plans. So you look into 2017, the first section is the police pension. The one below that is the firefighter's pension. The police pension is about 69% funded, and the firefighter's pension was 64% funded. Obviously, a lot of this has to do with how the market was on the particular day that the information was grabbed. So if the market's way up on June 30th, numbers are going to look better. If the market crashed on June 30th, things are going to look worse. But overall, we're increased from year to year. So more funded than we were a year ago, which is always what you want to have happen. And then on page 50 would be the IMRF, which would be everyone else's. And you guys are 89.5% funded on IMRF. So one of the higher fund ones that I see in the state of Illinois for IMRF. So doing something right with your investments and your funding that you're doing of this. The next page 52 through 60 are page 52 is the start of the general fund budget. So you have your original column as you guys passed. Final is going to be changes that occurred during the year, amendments because something happened. So on the last page of the general fund budget, which is on page 58, we originally budgeted $844,000 loss. We ended up with a $360,000 loss, so we were better by $483,000 from year to year. So that's kind of what I like to look at, say, what did we think we were originally going to do and how did we end up doing? So we thought we were going to do much worse than we did, so that's commendable. It's either, our total expenditures were 1.3 million less than what we had originally budgeted. So obviously that has a huge impact on savings when you spend 1.3 million less than you had originally planned. Page 65, and this is just probably a one-year thing, is we had to do a single audit this year because a portion of your sewer separation money was considered federal. You don't really know how much is considered federal until the state of Illinois decides what bucket they're going to pull the money out of. It's always a varying number. They could have pulled everything out of the state bucket or the federal bucket. So during the year, they pulled out $772,000 out of the federal bucket for your expenditures. The total federal audit limit is $750,000. So had it been less, that's why we don't believe we're going to have a single audit this year, is that even if they allocate some to the federal, we're not going to have that much federal expenditures this year. So we were required to do the single audit. We also have requirements of submitting the form on data collection form to the government to say, hey, we've done our single audit as well. Page 73 and 74 is our report on internal control. So as part of the audit as well, we test the internal controls of the city. We found, during that testing, we found no deficiencies in internal control or material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that required reporting our finding to management. So the financials were in great order. And always I like to thank the city for being so warm and welcoming, and apologize to whoever's chairs we sit in, that we mess with the levels. You might have a few tissues missing. I frown on people if they try stealing your candy, so hopefully no one's missing any candy. So we're creatures of habit, so we all sit in the same spot. So some people get affected and some others do not. So, but this, everyone out here is always so warm and welcoming and kind of just make us feel like we belong when we're here. So we always appreciate it. And we all have young kids. We also appreciate getting away from them for a few days. But as long as this meeting's not published to my wife, it's all right. Yeah, but she's not gonna look. Yeah, she's not gonna look it up. So
And I know Tricia echoes the same sentiments as I do. So we of course we have an audit every year. We've had numerous companies that have performed our audit. All of them do a good job. They do what we hire them to do. But I will say, Keith and his company are probably the most efficient that we've had in my tenure anyway. But not taking, not saying anything derogatory about his company, but the way it operates is his company can just be just as good as the employees that are furnishing the equipment and the information that's needed. And Jan's office, Tricia, Linda, everybody in City Hall, and the department heads, and everybody that is part of the leadership team in the City of office does a great job in getting that information in where Tricia and them can compile it on a paper. And Keith will tell you that's the reason we try not to have meetings up here during that. We've had audit firms that took 3 months to complete their audits. Keith's company takes about 3 days, 3.5 at the most. But the reason is there's a table, you set up tables and all the information are right there. They do run up and down the stairs a lot. They try to catch me, and they try to catch Tricia and stuff like that. So they go to each one of us and ask different questions, or they answer the same questions as Steve, but, they do a great job, and I wanna commend them on what they do.
It would not be possible for us to be as efficient as we are, and the audit wouldn't be as clean if it wasn't for Tricia and Linda and everyone else around here. I mean, it's, you know, we do the work, but it all lands on their shoulders. If the numbers are no good, the audit's painful for everyone involved, because we're now on hunting expeditions all over the place. So, I also feel bad for Kim, because we're in and out of that office, and that door rattles every time you open and close that door, and we are in and out of that office making photocopies for 3 straight days, so I'm sure she gets driven insane.
Well, they had to buy a new copy.
Oh yeah, no, we appreciate, we love the new copier, yeah, we probably us that ran it down, but no, it's a great new copier, so thank you.
We got a
Board.
new door too.
Oh, they got a new door?
Got a
Well,
new
there we
door,
go.
too.
So we broke the door and the copier.
Don't make as much noise now.
Would deduct that out of his fee.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no deduction of fee, please.
We didn't buy any doors.
Does anybody got a question of Keith?
Would you go over all this and read it to us again?
I'd be happy to go
The
line
whole
by
book.
line.
I wanna read the whole thing, once you read the whole book.
I will go
He's
line by
almost got it
line.
memorized.
I'm just kidding.
Now I'll put it on, I'll do a podcast, and that way you can listen to it on the way
Suggest
home.
we
I'll just read it out
Section
loud
15.
and send it back to you, so.
As you drive home, right?
Yeah, I'll just record it, and then I'll have it sent up to you guys.
Call me on Skype.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, drive back safely
I
when
will,
you
thank
leave.
you.
And, in the mayor's report, and I did ask, Rick, if it would be permissible for us to go ahead and put a motion to accept the audit. I forgot to put it on there. It is no expenditure or anything like that. We just need to approve it and let, Keith go on towards the St. Louis, so, I'm gonna skip down to the mayor's report there, and then I would like to have a motion to accept the audit of 2017.
I'll make the motion that we accept.
I'll second that.
We do have a motion, we do have a second. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Short,
Yes.
and Taylor.
Yes.
All right, young man, you're in business.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you for
Drive
coming. Thank you for
safely.
buying.
Thank you.
Still under the citizens' requests. Mr. White, would you like to
Yes, sir.
speak to the council where you don't have to sit around and wait on us all night?
Well, you are. I just wanna tell you that I do have all the trailers gone. So the 3 of them are taken care of. I've still got a little cleanup to do down there, but, you know, it's, that I got a demolition permit for 708 East 12th Street, which is another house I have to take care of. Probably not gonna get much done this month. It's full of my grandmother's furniture, clothes. I've never done anything. It's sat empty for 5 years, so, I've got to, in fact, we started last week, in taking stuff out of there. And, hopefully this month and then next month we can start taking the windows out and start.
Well, Jim, if nothing else, you can blame it on the construction site. You can't get in, you can't get out.
There you go. I wanna thank you all for your cooperation and, like I said, I'm not gonna get much done this month, so I was hoping maybe February I could come back and make another report.
And that-
Cause I'm not gonna get much done this month with the 2
I
holidays.
think that would be, all right with the city council. And we do appreciate, and the city council appreciates you. We understand weather, and we understand a one-man team.
Well, I've got, my family's helping me, I've
Yeah.
got grandsons and son-in-laws and stuff, and I couldn't do it without them.
I understand.
I wouldn't have them.
Well, we do appreciate you keeping us informed of where you're at.
Well, that's all I wanna do, so that you all are, you know, if you're all happy, I'm happy. So, I do have something else, Billy, going through the old house this weekend, I found an old picture of the Metropolis bender in 1947.
We'll
My
take that,
uncle
we'll have a
worked there
place for
from the
that.
time he got out of high school until they shut it down,
What year was
and
it?
47.
Jan, you remember that?
And I just wondered if you all would be interested in hanging that somewhere, either here at the courthouse or somewhere.
Yeah,
It might
if
be-
nothing else, we can actually,
I don't
we
know.
will take it to the, to the library, they have a great place down there, and we may wanna put it here someplace in the city hall. I'm sure there's 47, I'm sure there's people on here that we probably all,
No, there's
no.
families here that
Yeah.
know, sure.
I think my dad's on there, Billy.
I wouldn't doubt it.
He worked there when he got out of high school.
Yeah, I remember your
That's your dad.
You work with Harold?
Remember that young, but I think that's him right there.
Jim, I wish I could
No,
watch
that's
you
not
for the
bad.
effort that you do.
Well, I try,
Hey,
you know
well,
that, but
well, we all well aware of that.
I'm slow, but,
Well, I knew,
Jim, I thank you a whole lot for that.
well, I thought you all people might be interested in that, you know, I don't
Maria
know.
might be interested in that.
If my uncle was still alive, he could tell me probably 90% of the people on there, but unfortunately, I don't know hardly any of them, so.
Well,
just
Somebody
live
will.
before your
Bill
time.
Carroll would know them all and their grandkids.
A couple years before my time.
He has that talent.
All right.
But anyway, so I thank you all,
Alright.
and if y'all need anything, I am trying to put together a packet to reclaim some of the monies I spent on the trailer, and, I'll be submitting them shortly. I've got to, the properties were in my wife's name, so I've got to change that back over to my name, and they say I have to do that before I can submit this. So,
Alright.
once I get all that done, I've got the pictures back and everything of the properties, and I'll submit that to you all, and you do with what you want.
I appreciate it, Jim.
All right, thank you all very much.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
You wanna see them? My dad saw him. I saw him picture. A lot of people probably don't even know where that's at. You don't know where it's at? You don't know where the vendor was? Where Laidlaw used to be.
Okay.
They make baby tendas.
At one time, it was called baby.
Yeah, they make chairs, folding chairs. Before, I think they started out making bowls for wagons and stuff,
High
didn't they?
chairs,
Isn't that why they called it the vendor?
and it was a major, major corporation, you know, for that era. I mean,
Do you know what a baby tender is?
I didn't hear it before.
It's about the size of a card table, and it had a square cut out in the middle of it with a seat in it for a baby. Or for a kid, it had 4 wheels on it. I had one when I was a kid. You could sit in that and eat. You ever seen one, John?
Absolutely, I can remember that.
Yeah. I've got a chair from
No, it was one.
up there that says baby tender on it, a child's folding wooden chair.
moving on, we can either, I'll go through Rick's. I'll tell you what, let's just go through Rick's stuff. There's nothing on here that, that may be him right there. No, that's just all. All right, corporate council report. Motion to accept Thomas and Rutter's new contract for corporate counsel. What that entitled is Rick's, law, legal documents that come in off his computer from the law firm.
I'll make that motion. I'll second that.
Now, is this a new software?
No,
or is it-
it's just a renewal software. He's used this software for, gosh, I don't know how long, a long time. We do have a motion, we do have a second. Call the roll, please.
Canada.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item. Motion to suspend the rules and place an ordinance authorizing a refund of elected official contribution to IMRF upon its passage. Motion by Mr. Neal,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Canada. Call the roll, please.
Yes.
Excuse me. Paul.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
And there is a ordinance in there.
Right behind it. gonna be 2017-34.
Now we need a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing a refund of elected official contribution to IMRF.
I'll make that motion.
Had a motion by Mr. Neal, second by Mr. Canada. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item, Financial Committee, Mr. Barfield and then Mr. Barfield's absence. Who is second in command on that? Mr. Canada?
I think of it.
All right.
All right, coming out of our finance meeting on December 5th, we need a motion to renew TPA services with Mutual Medical for 2018.
I so moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Taylor, second by Mr. Short. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we need a motion to accept the Symetra reinsurance renewal at the existing individual stop loss limit.
We'll give it to Neil. Right, Short. We do have a motion by Mr. Short, second by Mr. Neal. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
And motion to accept entering into an agreement with Phoenix Consulting for 200 banked hours of IT support at a price of $13,000.
I so moved.
I'll second that.
We do have a motion, we do have a second. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, adopt a motion for the rules to be suspended and an ordinance 2017-35 be placed upon its passage, tax levy ordinance for fiscal year 2017-2018.
Make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Neal, second by Mr. Hall. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Adopt a motion to pass ordinance 2017-35 as presented, tax levy ordinance for fiscal year 2017-2018.
Make motion.
Motion by Mr. Lewis,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Hall. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to accept funding is recommended by the actuary for the fire pension in the amount of $274,046.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Short, second by Mr. Neal. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
And a motion to accept funding is recommended by the actuary for the police pension in the amount of $311,787.
Make that motion. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Short, second by Mr. Lewis. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
That looks like everything there.
Thank you, Mr. Canada. As some of the companies and stuff, you see the advertisement of each year, you know, if they have reached a milestone of stock payments of so much contributions and stuff like that. I'm happy to say that, through all the work and, through your, police and fire, boards and, the people that set, that help with the investments and stuff like that, this has been, several years that we have actually, participated in, the 100% of ever what the actuary says we should put in. That's what we put in, so we're happy with that. Ours is in good shape. Next item on the agenda, water, light, and street. In the absence of, Mr. Barfield, Mr. Hall will chair that.
Water and Lights Street Committee had a meeting on December the 5th, and all these items came out of the committee meetings, and I'll need a motion for each one. Motion to accept or reject utility bill format changes to provide electric usage and charges as a single line item.
I'll make that motion to accept.
To accept.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Canada. Motion by Mr. Taylor, second by Mr. Canada. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Need a motion to sell all of the common stock in Caesars Entertainment Operating Company Incorporated helped by the city, and to apply the proceeds towards the payment of the claim filed by the city in the bankruptcy case, and deposit any excess funds into the city's electrical fund.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Neal, second by Mr. Taylor. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis,
Abstain.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to accept or reject a memorandum of agreement with BHMG for an electrical system cost and service and rate study in an approximate amount of $15,000.
I'll make that motion to accept.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Canada, second by Mr. Taylor. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Need a motion to accept or reject the purchase of an annual contract with Nixle, an emergency and community notification tool. I think Chad presented that at the last meeting, showed us how it worked and all
He
that.
skipped one.
Did I?
You can go
I'll
back.
get
He got
it, I'll
excited.
get it next.
I'll make the motion to accept the Nixle.
Second.
We can always go backwards,
You
can't we?
can go in any order you want.
You're like
You're the guy in charge.
You're like Buford, you seen that number and you skip right over it.
Yeah.
66,000.
Yeah, it's good.
He was ready.
Kinda hung in his throat right there.
Yeah.
Alright.
He was worried
Yeah,
about
there's
his
no,
vote,
it's
Mr.
not
Buford.
an issue either way. So you wanna go back, we have call a roll, call a roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
We need a motion to accept or reject pay application number 2 from ACIX in the amount of $66,578.18.
I'll make that motion to accept.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Neal, second by Mr. Short. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank
We need a motion to accept or reject the purchase of a speed information trailer in the amount of $15,785. And I think this was a budgeted item.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
To accept, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And this is Mr. Short. Motion made by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Short. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
The last item, unless I missed something else here. Motion to accept or reject reimbursement to Jason Cates for additional street improvements as requested by the city in the amount of $9,875.
Make that motion to accept. Second.
And we have, made arrangements that this don't reoccur, right? By an ordinance.
It will probably always reoccur if there is an intergovernmental agreement with the, contractor to upgrade the streets. Each subdivision contract is a little different. In some instances, without getting in great detail, sometimes you give, transformers. Sometimes you give up curb and gutter, lighting, things of that nature. In this instance here, we actually required him by ordinance to bring that street up to our standard. Now, not to say that it always will happen, you know, it's according to the process, it's according, if it's a new road, old road, complete new construction, and that's a tool that we use through our enterprise zones and our TIF to help your, does it happen much? No, but it has happened out there twice, that I know of.
Didn't,
But I thought we said that we were gonna make an ordinance or something or
I think Mr. Abel said he was gonna address that, and it was gonna take a lot of doing to get this done.
But it's going to be a little while, but
But he did tell us he was gonna look into it and take care of it.
that's what I thought.
Update the subdivision ordinance?
yes,
Yes.
right now, there's not much we can do because they contribute to it and stuff like that. But eventually, and probably, you're probably not going to have another subdivision. I hope we have 2 subdivisions start before we get it changed. I really do. But, we probably won't have another subdivision start, you know, before we get that ordinance in front of us. But anyway, it probably does need, it's been a long time since we updated one. So, yes, to answer that question in a long way around. So we do have a motion by Mr. Neal, and we do have a second by Mr. Canada. Call a roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that's all from the Water, Light, and Street Committee.
The department heads, Harry?
Firefighter Howard Medley had 30 years on the Metropolis Fire Department. He died December 8th. Funeral is tomorrow, Waldo Baptist Church. Visitations from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. with honor guard being performed by our fire department and members of the honor guard from Southern Illinois. Masonic rites will be at 11, and then the funeral service will follow right after there at 11 o'clock at Waldo Baptist. I don't know where the term is. I just find out. But all our people are.
7 Mile Baptist Church is where the burial will be.
Most of our people will be there unless they have other types of commitments. We have Joppa Fire Department coming in to backfill for first responder and fire in case something happens during that time. Obviously, it's a no charge. This is part of the traditions and courtesies, and if you can make it, it'd be great. Thank you.
And in giving credit where credit's due, and I'm sure most of you do your tenure, and I know Mr. Short has, in his, past life as police and a fire officers and stuff like that. It will make you very, very, very proud of your community, your fire department, your police department, to witness ceremony of that caliber. I mean, it is, I don't care if you're not even a little little sentimental. If that does not hit a soft spot in your heart, there's gotta be something wrong with you. You know, and, like I said, Howard has had a true struggle, here in the last year. And so, but, we are happy that he was a 30-year fire department employee and stuff like that. And, Harry's employees, in the police and the fire will do the city of Metropolis justice, I promise you. Frank,
Nothing at this time.
old business. New business. Miscellaneous report. Financial report, payment of salaries, payroll, and contract bills.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Hall, second by Mr. Neal. Call the roll, please.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Payment of miscellaneous bills.
I'll make that motion also.
Motion made by Mr. Hall, second by Mr. Neal. Call the roll, please.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. Yes.
I told you my voice is that far. Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire. Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you.
If there is a God in heaven, the day after tomorrow, the rest of them be gone, maybe. In bringing you up to date just a little bit more, since I've double dutied on Mr. April's committee, just a little update. As you know, and many of you, I know wanted to be there because you told me you wanted to be there. Our very, very first employee citywide communication meeting. Mr. Lewis was there, Mr. McGuire was there, and I know many of you have told me that it just did not work in your scheduling and stuff like that. But I would like to report that it was an outstanding meeting. It was, I think it was something that probably was past due, you know, for the Metropolis, because we get in that, we all try to stay in our comfort zones. We actually get used to doing things in the same way, because it's easy. It's easy for us to do that. Some of us around this table are, we actually kind of control maybe our own destiny. We didn't have to do, we moved at our own pace. Mr. Lewis will be, and Mr. Canada, are probably more, used to changes and stuff because of their corporations and their business issues and stuff like that. But all department heads were actually at the meeting. Each person had a little bit of the program, and I was very, very well pleased. I would like to say that everybody at that meeting was 100% pleased. Doesn't happen like that, you know. And I think we had 72 active employees or people that actually had something to do with the city of Metropolis. I will say that Tricia done a great job, Jan done a great job, Chris done an exceptional job. It just went well. Something else that was brought up, and we take it for granted here in the city hall and stuff like that, but we don't mean to, you know, we just do. Jan's office, if you've ever noticed in the front of her office, the little candy bar section and stuff like that, you know, that's not for a slush fund, you know, for this and that and something else. That money is used. Jan actually takes most of the time, her time, to go to Sam's or wherever and buys the candy bars and the knickknacks and stuff like that, and actually sells them out of the clerk's office. That goes into a fund that actually, at certain times during the year, every dime of that money is used after, you know, what we make off of it, to help citizens in the city of Metropolis with issues that maybe are beyond their control and stuff like that. So, you know, at the meeting the other day, Jan explained all that and stuff like that. And, you know, if you're in the city hall and stuff like that, get a buck or two out of your pocket and buy a candy bar and take it home and give it to the, well, maybe you don't wanna give it to your kids before bedtime, but give it to the neighbor kid or something, you know? But each one of those, it does go for a very good cause and stuff like that. We are going to have our Christmas party here in the city hall, December the 18th, which is, I guess, a week from today, isn't it? 11:30 to 1 o'clock. And feel free to come by and eat. If you wanna bring something, that's fine, Danny. If you don't wanna bring something, that's okay. We'll have plenty of food here and things like that. Everybody in the city hall will have something that they bring. We're actually we're gonna have a ham and things of that nature, but there'll be more food than what everybody here can eat and stuff like that. The reason they're having it on Monday, I think they took a census and stuff like that. If they had it on Monday, that way they can eat it all week. You know, there is a method. We have it on Friday, you know.
Does that mean we can come and eat lunch every day, Jack?
Yeah, and we did start giving out the light bulbs this week. And plus we have some, ice scrapers and stuff like that, and I hope we don't use one of those ice scrapers on here. Anyway, I think that is, City Hall will be closed, of course, Monday, December the 25th, Tuesday, December the 26th, of course, that'd be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday will be closed. The same thing, on New Year's. Bulldog Trash Service, if anybody asks, will not run. They'll run every day but Christmas Day. They will not run Christmas Day. So our next council meeting will be on the 26th or 27th on a Wednesday.
That'd be the 27th.
The 27th. That'll be on a Wednesday night. That ought to really mess things up.
We're not gonna have a committee meeting this week,
If,
are we?
Mr. Hall asked me that earlier this morning. Unless we just, something comes up in an emergency, we probably won't have one, and if it's acceptable to the council, what I would do, if it's acceptable to you, you guys make the rules. Unless it's just something really, really bad. If something comes up that's just, I need approval to do something, I will probably exercise calling 4 aldermen. We'll do what we gotta do to get it done, and then we'll ratify it at the next council meeting. That way, we know everybody's gonna be through the holidays, you're gonna be traveling, some of yous, and things like that, so this probably will be our last meeting until the 27th. Anything else for the good of the cause?
Just want to give a shout out to Chris and of course the mayor and Jan and Trish and everybody else that participated in the communications meeting. We have those every quarter down here, and I mean you executed very well. It was done
We're
very
gonna
well.
have one here every quarter. We're gonna try and do
I
as
hope
good as
so.
you guys
I hope
do.
so. And I think the more you do it, I think it's going to be more welcome. So
And,
I give you all kudos for that. Good job.
Like I said, most of the employees, you know, very, 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 very little negative. And it wouldn't make any difference. The negative part of it, if we'd give $100 to each person out there, they'd be mad because they didn't get 150, and that's okay. You know, but I will say this.
I wouldn't be mad.
We're in the process. There's gonna be a lot of changes made and things of that nature. Some of them are gonna be really popular changes. Some of them are not gonna be very popular. We've made some changes that, you know, I've had to get used to. And I don't wanna leave anybody out, and I'm always leery about giving, compliments out and stuff like that, because we appreciate all of our employees and stuff like that, but, if you've noticed, downstairs, everything down there has been repainted. The walls, the woodwork, everything's, some new fixtures put up, we got some more fixtures we gotta put up. That is being done by city employees, every one of them. And, you know, they don't have to do that, you know, we've asked for, we pay them to do it, but still, again, they don't have to, you know, so they're doing us a service by doing that. So if you see any of them, you know, thank them for what they do and stuff like that, because, you know, what they are having to do up here, somebody's having to pick up the load on the street to fill that vacant position of somebody up here, working and stuff like that, so, job well done, and like I said, none of that could happen, you know, if we didn't have we got a good working crew in the administrative part of it, in the offices here, they do a good job, everybody gets along for the most part, and, not getting along sometimes is not all bad, you know, as long as you can find some common ground someplace to get on. But none of that could happen. I'm telling you, and I know you probably get tired of me saying that, but I've worked under both ways. I've worked under dysfunctional councils. Believe me, it's not fun. You know, and there's nothing wrong with, discussions and disagreements and difference of opinion, what goes on, but we still gotta find common ground that we can fulfill our obligation as elected officials. And I do appreciate each and every one of them. I never, ever dread getting on the telephone and calling and asking for this or whatever. So I do appreciate what you guys do too. We need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Who's the first? You were so quiet, I mean.
Give him another one, everybody wants to do.
Canada,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McGuire, Neal.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.